Life had always felt like a beautiful routine. I remember waking up every morning next to my wife Anna, with her soft hair sprawled across the pillow. The sun would filter through the curtains, casting a warm glow on our room. We were a couple who shared everything, from dreams and aspirations to the mundane details of everyday life. Little did I know that peaceful existence was about to shatter into a million pieces. The signs had been subtle at first. Anna started spending longer hours at work. At first, I thought it was just her dedication to her career. She had recently received a promotion, and the responsibilities that came with it demanded extra time. I was proud of her, admiring her ambition. But as the weeks turned into months, her late nights became more frequent, and the warmth in our home began to cool. The conversations we once shared began to dwindle, replaced by short, distracted replies. One day, as I cleaned out the garage, I stumbled upon a box of old memories, photos from our early days, notes we'd exchanged, and other memorabilia of our life together. I smiled at the memories, feeling nostalgic, but then I found something odd. A receipt for a hotel room dated a week prior. My heart raced. I recognized the hotel. It was a boutique place known for its romantic ambiance. It had been our getaway spot for anniversaries and special occasions. Why would she be there without me? I confronted Anna about the receipt that evening. She dismissed it, claiming it was a work function that ran late. I wanted to believe her, so I let it go. But as days turned into weeks, I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was amiss. I decided to keep a closer eye on her, something I'd never imagined I'd do. I began tracking her movements more meticulously. I installed an app on my phone to monitor her calls and messages. It felt wrong, almost like an invasion of her privacy, but my gut instinct urged me to dig deeper. What I found sent chills down my spine. There were frequent messages from an unknown number, filled with flirty undertones and affectionate language. I felt my heart sink deeper into despair with each notification I received. Despite my growing unease, I tried to maintain a semblance of normalcy at home. I would often plan dinners and weekend outings, hoping to reconnect. Yet Anna would always have an excuse to decline, whether it was work or sudden plans with friends. My heart ached with confusion and hurt, yet I still wanted to believe in her fidelity. Then one chilly Friday evening, everything changed. I had planned a cozy dinner at home, thinking it might finally be the chance for us to reconnect. I bought her favorite wine, cooked her favorite meal, and even set up a small surprise with candles and flowers. As the hours ticked by, I watched the clock, waiting for her to come home. But as the evening progressed, it became increasingly clear she wasn't coming. I tried to reach her multiple times, but each call went straight to voicemail. Panic gripped me. I paced the living room, feeling a whirlwind of emotions: anger, betrayal, and an overwhelming sense of loss. Just when I thought I could take it no longer, the doorbell rang. I froze, staring at the door as if it held all the answers. When I opened the door, I was greeted by a man I had never seen before. He looked to be in his late 30s, with an air of confidence that immediately set off alarm bells in my mind. He was dressed sharply in a tailored suit, but it was the glint of recognition in his eyes that truly sent my heart racing. "Hi, I'm Michael," he said casually, as if he had every right to be standing on my doorstep. "Is Anna home?" The world around me faded as his words hung in the air. The realization hit me like a freight train. My worst fears were materializing right before my eyes. I took a deep breath, feeling the room spin slightly. "Who are you?" I managed to ask, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm a friend," he replied, his nonchalance only fueling my anger. "We were supposed to go out tonight." At that moment, 1,000 thoughts raced through my mind. Who was this man? What kind of friend was he to my wife? The confusion quickly morphed into rage as I fought the urge to slam the door in his face. Instead, I stepped aside, letting him in. "Where is she?" I asked, my voice cold. "Look, man, I don't want any trouble. I just came to pick her up," Michael said, raising his hands defensively. Just as I was about to respond, my phone buzzed on the table. It was a message from Anna. "Hey babe, sorry I'm running late. Out with a friend. See you soon." The timing couldn't have been more suspicious. "You mean this friend?" I sneered, gesturing toward Michael, whose smirk had faded into a nervous expression. "Look, I can explain," he said, his tone turning serious. "Anna and I—" "Don't you dare say it," I interrupted, my heart racing. "I want the truth now." Before he could respond, Anna walked through the door, her face lighting up until she noticed the tension in the room. "What's going on?" she asked, looking between us, confusion written all over her face. I felt my world crashing down as I pointed to Michael. "Explain this." Anna's face drained of color as she took in the situation. "Michael, what are you doing here?" she asked, her voice shaky. "I came to pick you up," he said, sounding more annoyed than guilty. "Anna," I said, forcing myself to remain calm, "is this your friend?" Her silence spoke volumes. I could see the guilt in her eyes as she shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my gaze. We've been seeing each other for a while," she finally admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. A cold wave washed over me, and I felt the air leave my lungs. I wanted to scream, to cry, to lash out in anger, but instead, I stood there frozen in disbelief. "How could you do this to us? Is this why you've been distant? The late nights? The excuses?" I demanded, my voice cracking. Anna nodded slowly, tears welling in her eyes. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen this way. What about our life? Our dreams?" I could barely comprehend the reality of her betrayal. "I thought I could manage it," she replied, her voice trembling. "But things just happened. I never wanted to hurt you." The emotional weight of her words hit me like a hammer. I felt my heart shatter piece by piece until all that was left was a void where love once resided. Michael, sensing the escalating tension, took a step back. "Look, I think it's best if I go," he said, glancing between us. "This isn't how I wanted it to go down." "Get out," I said, my voice low but firm. He hesitated for a moment, then turned and left, the door closing behind him with a finality that echoed in the room. With only Anna and me left, the air was thick with unspoken words. "What do we do now?" I finally asked, my voice breaking. I don't know," she whispered, wiping her tears. "You don't know?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You've been seeing someone else and you don't know what to do?" "I didn't think it would come to this," she exclaimed, frustration seeping into her voice. "I thought I could end it without hurting you." I shook my head, feeling a mix of anger and heartbreak. "You didn't think at all. You betrayed everything we built together." I know," she replied, her voice cracking. "I was stupid. I was selfish. I got caught up in the moment." There was a long silence, filled with the weight of betrayal and regret. I wanted to lash out, to express all the pain and anger that coursed through my veins, but instead, I felt numb. "Maybe we should take a break," I suggested, my voice barely above a whisper. "A break?" she echoed, her eyes wide. "Yes, to figure things out," I said, forcing the words out. "I can't just pretend everything is okay. I need space." Anna nodded, understanding the gravity of my words. "Okay, I'll give you space." As she gathered a few things and left the house, I felt the emptiness seep in, taking root in my heart. I wandered through the house, looking at the pictures of us on the walls, memories that felt like they belonged to another life. Days turned into weeks. The silence in the house was deafening. I filled my time with work, friends, and hobbies, but nothing could fill the void that Anna left. Every time I heard a car pull up, my heart raced, hoping it was her, only to be met with disappointment. Eventually, I realized that I needed closure. I couldn't keep living in this limbo. I reached out to Anna and we agreed to meet at a cafe. Sitting across from her, I could see the pain etched in her face, a mirror of my own. "I never wanted to hurt you," she began, tears glistening in her eyes. "It was a mistake, and I wish I could take it back." I looked at her, feeling a whirlwind of emotions. "But you can't, can you? You chose him over us." "I made a terrible mistake, and I'm so sorry," she said, her voice trembling. "I want to make things right. Can we ever go back to how things were?" I asked, desperate for hope. She shook her head. "I don't know. I love you, but I also know that I hurt you deeply. Love isn't enough if trust is gone," I replied, feeling the weight of reality settling in. We spent hours talking, pouring out our feelings, regrets, and hopes. It was cathartic, but ultimately it was clear that we had changed. As we parted that day, I felt a sense of finality wash over me. We had shared so much, yet I knew we couldn't go back. I would always love her, but the betrayal was too deep. In the months that followed, I focused on healing. I threw myself into work, traveled to places I had always wanted to visit, and started rediscovering who I was outside of my relationship with Anna. Eventually, I found peace. I learned to forgive. Not for Anna, but for myself. I realized that while she had betrayed me, I had the power to rebuild my life. Then one day, as I was out for a jog in the park, I spotted a woman sitting on a bench reading a book. There was something familiar about her. As I drew closer, I recognized her as a friend from college. Laura. We hadn't seen each other in years. We struck up a conversation, and as the sun set, I felt a spark of connection. It was strange, yet refreshing, and I couldn't help but smile. In that moment, I realized that life continued, and while I would always cherish the memories with Anna, I was ready to embrace new beginnings. As Laura and I exchanged numbers and made plans to meet again, I felt a sense of hope blooming within me. The road ahead would be challenging, but I was ready to walk it. Life had thrown me a curveball, but I was determined to emerge stronger. After all, sometimes it takes losing everything to find out who you truly are.